Howdy, and welcome to ISTM489 Human-Computer Interaction. In this video, I'm going to be covering, what we're going to be covering. That is, introducing the content of this course and the learning outcomes of this course. To begin, this course is designed around one central guiding question, which is how should we design and evaluate human-computer user interfaces that leverage our abilities, account for our limitations, and promote effective task performance. The first important part to answering this question is that we should consider our physiological abilities and limitations, that is, how our bodies are built. For example, you're probably straining to read the text that's here on the screen because of the way your eyes are built. They perceive in a very particular way, and this text and this background is not really conducive to that. So one part of this answer of the question, how should we design and evaluate human-computer user interfaces that leverage our abilities, account for our limitations, and promote effective task performance, is that we need to be mindful of our physical bodies and how they work or don't work in our design and evaluation of computing technologies. But this consideration of the physical is not the only consideration. A second part to answering this question is that we should also consider our mental operations, or what one might call our cognitive abilities, when it comes to designing and evaluating technologies. For example, we can highlight certain elements of the text that's here on the screen to call awareness to these, or to perhaps show that there's something important about them, or even simply to make them more memorable. Further, we can be mindful of emotion. The third part of answering this question is all about emotion, or what we would call affective states. And that term affective is spelled starting with an A, affective states, and how these drive design and evaluation of technologies. Notice how this version of the text and the background evoke a feeling not seen or experienced in the previous versions. This three-part answer represents the three main perspectives that we're going to be considering in respect to the design of computing interfaces. And that is through the physical, referring to our physiology, cognitive, referring to our mental abilities, and affective, again with an A, referring to our emotions. Given these three perspectives, let's now look at the learning outcomes of this course. They are as follows. First, by the end of the term, you should be able to articulate how affordances and constraints make objects, including and, especially user interfaces, usable. Now, I don't expect you to know what these two terms mean just yet, but we're going to be diving into that relatively early on. Which leads us to our second outcome, is that you'll be able to learn and use and, demonstrate proper vocabulary to describe and analyze human interaction with both hardware and software, such as terms like affordance and constraint, as we saw in the last learning outcome. Now, another outcome is that you should be able to articulate how physiological, social, and cultural factors impact or affect human-computer interactions. That is, as part of our physical perspective, we'll consider the importance of accessibility for folks who are differently abled, as well as global and cultural impacts of technology, and how that has implications for our interactions with it. Next, we have, at the end of the term, you should be able to demonstrate appropriate user interface design for one or more components of an information system within a given context for specific tasks. Again, you can see that there are parts of the text here on the screen that are bolded, and that is because these are points of focus that we're going to be emphasizing as we start to move through the term here. And when we're referring to an information system, largely we're talking about software, but to some degree, that can include hardware as well. You should be able to describe by the end of the semester the relationships between humans, technology, tasks, and context. And yes, there are many. By the time we're done with this course, you should also be able to design basic usability studies and perform basic usability evaluations, which leads us to our next learning outcome, which is that we should be able to execute these simple usability evaluations utilizing basic tools. Then there is our final learning outcome, and that is you should be able to perform informed critiques on user interfaces designed by others based on theories and or principles that we've learned about in this course. Now, to get us to those learning outcomes, we have all sorts of readings, videos, assignments, quizzes, projects, and other sorts of exciting activities packed into this course. And you can get a sneak peek of many of those by reviewing our course syllabus, which, well, I'm actually requiring you to read. In the meantime, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And that concludes this introductory video about what to expect, sort of like an introduction to the course, more than really getting into any particular subject. But nevertheless, I promise you, well, kind of promise, that it'll be a fun journey. But I can, for certain, promise that I am really excited to have you along for the ride. So thanks for watching and stay tuned.